Hey everybody, I'm Jack. This is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. Hope everybody had a good weekend. If you're in the States, you got one more day. This is Memorial Day weekend, so tomorrow is a holiday. Nice long weekend for folks. I had a nice relaxing, a pretty relaxing day yesterday. Sort of a relaxing day. I came out of the gym and had a flat tire. Small town like this, nobody around. It's so low, it needs one of those commercial jacks. Anyway, long story, you don't need to hear all the particulars. Couldn't do anything, had to leave it up at the Y. I walked down to a cousin of mine's house and got some money. Well, actually, he drove me back down to my house, got some money, went back out to Walmart, finally bought myself a bike. I've been meaning to do that for the past few weeks. I got two wheels again, so that was my Saturday. Anyhow, I want to talk about best source for raw food diet info today. I've talked about that before and I wanted to get a little bit more specific with it today. So, anyhow, I do videos every day. So, I'd really appreciate if you'd hit that subscribe button and then click on the little bell and check send notifications. So, you can come back and watch some more content if you like the content. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I'd like to have you come back, but yeah, I had a good conversation a while ago with a friend, and I don't know, I was already thinking about doing this video, but I was just thinking about the questions people ask and people's processes, and I did pick up some ideas for things, and it just goes back to so many people out there are getting their health advice, and there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong or right. Just be diverse. But so many people's whole world of this raw food diet or just plant based in general comes from the biggest names out there. They go to YouTube or they hear a name, or it's always about, the biggest brands or the accounts that get shared. And I like a lot of those accounts, but they're not always necessarily the best resource for somebody coming into this lifestyle to actually get the nuts and bolts information about stuff. That you're going to have, and that's the quickest way to do it is just what I'm about to show you. There's just a never-ending uh, stream of questions. I'll tell you something somebody should do as a project, and then we could all do it, and you'd get a lot of views on however you decided to present it, because everybody could use it as a resource. It's just like doing a basic website. Don't have it all, how a lot of bells and whistles, or you go here or there, you go there. Just the basics, the basics. So people like us, we don't have to answer, where do you get your protein? 18,475,000, blah. Where do you get your protein? You would just have that resource site with very simple, concise answers. And you could even have different opinions, a couple of different opinions, but then, you could just click and send people there. Because I just don't think enough people are really reading, researching, and getting good scientific background with a lot of what they're doing. And with a lot of the raw stuff, there's not a whole lot to draw from, because there's not that many people that have been doing it. There's a lot more out there in the just simple plant-based, not necessarily raw. So I do it two ways. Like I've always said, and I've said this in videos 100 times, anything you want to know, we have this thing called Google. We have this thing called Google, and we have this thing called YouTube. But today, and I've talked about, that's what I do a lot. I do searches in Google, I do searches in YouTube. But we're going to stick strictly with Google today, because I find if I'm in a hurry to find, like for instance, sometimes when I'm doing videos, just to refresh my memory or just to take somebody else's perspective, I will go to Google, because I kind of want to get this stuff quick. And when you go to, YouTube, there comes a lot of factors in there, because it's not, it's like somebody might have a bigger, better channel, but it's not necessarily the most accurate or the best information. Google a little bit more. Now, you do have to wade through and read a lot of stuff, which is why I'm going to show you exactly what I do. You go into Google, and you don't necessarily have to. I used to be kind of locked in with that mentality, because I've been doing lots of searches with keywords for years and years and years for a few jobs I did. So I would just go in and do like keywords like raw food diet fat, or raw food this or that. But I've learned, just go in and ask what you want. Where do you and on this one it's like uh, this one, a phrase will do: protein, which is the biggest one, protein on a vegan diet. I'll go through that quick. All right, then the first page comes up. Now what I'll do there is I'll scan down the page and I will see descriptions. Blah blah blah. Let's see. The 17 best protein sources for vegans and vegetarians. 26 delicious vegan sources of protein. How to get enough protein on a vegan diet. Protein in the vegan diet. 10 vegan sources of protein. And I look at some of the ones. That's Mind Body Green. They usually have pretty good information on there. Solid people writing. One Green Planet is another one. Healthline. I'm guessing that's probably a little bit mainstream, but there's given some information on there. Live Strong. I know that's the the Armstrong site. So you go down and you read the descriptions, and then I'll go in there and I'll look at 3 or 4. Then I'll click on one, and I can usually scan, and it's very efficient. You're scanning, and I see a few things. I'm like, okay, this is going to be beneficial, so I'll look. You go through like that. All right, after I do protein on a vegan diet, I do protein on a raw vegan diet. Now, the reason I do it on both of them is because, like I say, the raw vegan diet, let's just be honest there, raw food diet, raw vegan diet, it's a little woo-woo sometimes. And especially on YouTube, there's characters out there and there's personalities out there. Well, I'm not looking for a personality or a character. I'm looking for some science to back up what I'm doing. So the reason I do stuff and I search and I look at things on a plant-based or a vegan diet in general is I extrapolate from there. I get the hardcore facts about it, and I do find that you find more hardcore facts when you research just simply vegan and plant-based. Then I take some of that information, I extrapolate, like, okay, how can I adapt that? How can I take this knowledge, which I understand and I trust, and adapt that and do it the way that I do it on a raw food diet? So you do that, and then like I say, I come back in and protein on a raw food diet. Now, when you do just a raw food diet, because I like to go back and forth, you get different resources actually when you use raw vegan and raw food diet. So obviously, when you just do raw food diet, some people eat raw animal products, so you can weed through that pretty quickly and see if they're talking about it from that angle. But when I was getting ready for this, I read one that came up on the raw food diet, how to get protein on a raw food diet, the Rawtarian. I've followed her on social media a little bit here and there, so I looked at that. That was some good solid stuff. Let's see, what else did I like for the raw? Of course. Oh, and also too, at the very top, when it says ad, you do know that, right? If it ever says AD next to it on Google, people are paying to get those ads in the searches, so your mileage may vary there. But yeah, there's a lot of different ones on that, and you can go down the line, and you can do that for every single one. So if you're new to this lifestyle and you got basic questions, the stuff like where do you get your protein on a raw food diet? How do you get calcium on a raw food diet? Type those things in there, and sometimes like something like that, just type it in there verbatim and put a question mark. How to get calcium on a raw food diet, but just give. I guess what I'm saying is asking a question or a question mark isn't important, but think not just in small keywords, but think in asking your question. Just ask Google your question and stuff like that. Like one I checked too was getting fat on a raw vegan diet. And then you get some good stuff there, and most of the stuff that I got, why are you getting fat? Somebody had a good one on that. Like you would almost have there's two reasons you would get fat on a raw food diet, or why fruit would make. I'm sorry, I'm jumping around. Will fruit make you fat on a raw food diet? Mixing things up. Will fruit make you fat? The one that I read, like I say, I've got two beliefs on that. The people that say I'm getting fat on a raw food, the fruit is making me fat. Too much, you're eating too much fat with that fruit, or you're eating other things, processed stuff, other cooked food, whatever with that. But it's not the fruit that's making you fat. And this person said this. I think it was in the Raw Some Healthy website. Or no, that's the one. No, 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 never mind. No, no, no. That was one of those that was a video. I can't remember which one, but anyway, the one it said is you would basically have to try. In other words, if you just said, okay, I'm going to do this as a challenge, I'm going to binge fruit, stuff myself, but otherwise you can't. And the point is not to get into discussion over that, but you get concise information. Type in the question or a full description of what you're looking for. Scan the descriptions, go down the page, scan the descriptions, look at the URLs. Is it some weird thing? Get a feel. Read 3 or 4 of them, see what they agree on, see what they disagree on, and you'll get a feel for stuff like that. More so than, once again, are you lonely out there? If you're lonely, maybe I can set something up where I can start talking to people. I think that's all that is when somebody puts these same things out there in Facebook, in a Facebook group. I think you're lonely and just want to talk and interact with people, and that's okay, but know the difference. If you're doing it just to see what some people's opinions are, but that is definitely not the efficient way to get your information on this lifestyle. Because, okay, now I went in there. Let's say I went into a group of, say, 15, 20, 25,000 people on Facebook, and I just posted that as a question. Will fruit make you fat on a raw food diet? Do you know how much bullshit I got to wade through to even possibly get a remotely useful answer on that? You're going to have the devil's advocates that are going to give you that. You're going to have the extremists that are going to give you the most extreme version. You're going to have the woo-woo nut job version. You're going to have this version. You're going to have opinion. All you're going to really get is opinion there, and you're going to get a lot of crazy there, and you got a lot of stuff to wade through. That is, to me, that is useless from an information and a research aspect. Like I say, if you're doing that, I'm just thinking that you more so want a little connection with people. Or maybe or you've gotten your information. There's nothing wrong with doing that. I'm not saying doing that. Just don't take that as your, don't wait for those informations to enlighten you. You might already have done what I'm showing you here, and you might be posting that in a group just to say, okay, I'm curious. I want to see other people, like people that don't necessarily write a blog or do a channel or whatever, what their opinion is. And you can factor that in, but what I'm saying is don't do that for your main resource. Don't do that for the like a serious answer to your question, because that's folly right there. That's folly. And you probably will. I'm not saying you won't get the right answer somewhere in there, but you just got to wade through a bunch of stuff, and then also it's going to get a conversation, and also this person's going to argue with this person, and that's useless. So use Google. Google. There's no freaking reason in 2018 that people are not using that as a resource. Stop bugging people in your day-to-day life. It has nothing to do with the food. Don't ask somebody some ridiculous question. In other words, don't make me your Google. Don't make your uncle your Google. Don't make your coworker your Google. You can get all your information here, and you can pretty much do that for any niche, any subject, whatever you want to do. Just, search, do a thorough search. I mean, use the parameters, use a full phrase to whatever you're searching for. Read the descriptions, filter through that, read a couple of different views, and take what you can use. It's very easy. This is an easy process. In one afternoon, you could answer your own questions, but you might wait 2 days to get anything accurate and useful out of just asking randomly somewhere. So, or even waiting or even reaching out to say, I remember back in the day when I first got started on this lifestyle, I did do that. You write a question to one of the guru experts or whatever. And I'm not knocking that, because, sometimes there's stuff coming from everywhere. You don't get to answer everything timely. Sometimes you don't get to answer anything. So sometimes I'd get a nice and a good answer, but it'd be 2 or 3 days down the road. Boom. I could have had that information in 5 minutes. Like, in other words, with you doing what you're going to do in your Facebook groups or writing gurus and whatever, you might have to, it's kind of like snail mail. You send out a message, you get something, you get answer back to your one question in 3 days. You could pretty much do it all in half a day in an afternoon on Google. So start being a little bit more proactive. You know, you can expand past just reading little sound blips if you're new to this. If you're new to this lifestyle and you're not just like refreshing yourself on some things or trying to get some like specific information. Google, you could add in front of that fruit on a raw food diet books, and then you start seeing resources, and then books, writing. I'm very, I love the internet, I love the social media, I love video, but I think in a lot of ways when I'm actually studying, researching, getting stuff, I like it written, or I mean, I like it typed, I like it in words. So, anyhow, I just thought I would expand on that. I've talked about, how I research and how people I think they should get information on this and pretty much anything, but I just wanted to elaborate a little bit more today. So, I don't know. I don't even know if that will be it might just be my individual process. I hope somebody found that helpful. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up, and I will see you again tomorrow. Peace.